Hey, my name is Ari Tulla. I'm the CEO and co-founder at Elo Health. Today I'll talk about a topic that I love a lot, about nutrition, wearable devices, and AI, and how this combination can add us 10 more years of life expectancy. This is Mia, my 5-year-old daughter. She definitely loves unicorns. And I was so happy a few months ago when I saw a recent Stanford Center of Longevity study that told that 5-year-olds today have 50% chance of living up to 100 years old. Just think about that for a moment. How many people you know today who are 100 years old? Nobody? Maybe one? Maybe two? Most of us have never met a centenarian in our life. And now we're talking about half of these beautiful beings living up to 100. That is really exciting. But we have a problem. Today, in the last few years, life expectancy has actually been declining, not increasing. In the US today, the life expectancy that we expect is 76.4 years. In Japan, the highest in the world is 84.5. That's a big gap, first of all, 80 years between the two countries. And the drastic thing is that in the last few years in the US, we actually have lost 3 years of life expectancy, not gaining it. So how's my native Finland doing? They're in the middle of the back there at around 81.2 years. So why is this? Why are we losing life expectancy after a long and steady increase? It's not about the money. Today, if you think about the US, we are spending more than double per year per capita in healthcare. We're spending over $10,000 a year, when my native Finland, for example, is spending less than $5,000 a year. And we are not gaining, like you saw, life expectancy. In the US, we are kind of middle of the pack at the 76, but we are spending far more. It's really about the diet and the ultra-processed food we eat today. You may not know, but in the US, for example, 70% of all the calories are coming from processed food. That is a major problem today. It's causing a massive obesity epidemic. 74% of people today in the US are overweight or obese, and most countries in the world are following suit. You know, we invented Coke and cornflakes and whatever you call the Starbucks Frappuccino Mocha Venti that has 1,000 calories. At the moment, the obesity rate is growing much faster than people overweight. So almost 40% of people today in the US are obese. If you take an example from Japan, where people live the longest, the obesity rate is just 4%, 10 times less. That's crazy. So what do we need to do? We have to turn food from the root cause of disease to medicine. And that's not a new idea. It was already Hippocrates who said that, you are what you eat. Food is thy medicine. And let me tell a quick personal story about why do I believe and why do I work in this field currently. About 20 years ago, I was visiting London with my wife. We went to the British Museum, and there was an exhibition about Egyptian pharaohs and the reasons why people lived and died. My wife was standing in front of a sarcophagus like this, and there were buttons that you can press and then have headphones to hear what was the reason that people died. And she was pressing the neck area, and suddenly she went all pale. And I was like, well, what's going on? And she, pointed, come there. And I put the headphones on, I pressed the neck area, I listened, and the audio talked about thyroid issues, thyroid tumor, and described a common way that many women died in a time of Egypt. And then, my wife pointed and I tried her neck, and there was exactly the same thing that they described on the audio. Few days later, we cut our trip short. We head back to Finland. We are meeting a doctor, and they diagnose, take the biopsy, and indeed she had a thyroid tumor size of a half a fist. And quickly doctors, they decided to operate. They open her neck and they take away part of the thyroid and the tumor. And the aftermath is that everything went really well. There's no cancer, she's healed, all good, except the medication and the resulting challenges with hormonal dysfunction, imbalances, autoimmune diseases led us into a position that we actually can never have a family. And that was a big thing for us. You found your mate, you found your spouse, you found a person you love, and then you are losing the one thing that you really were looking for, having a family. That was a really tough moment for us, and it started a 10-year journey on the Western medicine. We worked with more than 50 different doctors to find a solution, went deep into mindfulness, tried a lot of the Eastern medicine. And in the end, we had moved to California, and we had a doctor who was guiding us and helping us to find a concept of anti-inflammatory diet. So basically rewiring our diet completely to have foods that are fighting inflammation, not foods that are causing inflammation like the processed food. So we went no meat, no sugar, no grains at all, and started to eat very clean. And that worked. After about a year, my wife's body actually had healed itself, and she was out of medication, and we were able to go forward. And we had our first son, and then my daughter later, and we have now 2 kids. And for me, every day, they are the reminder that food is indeed medicine, and it works. So what about the wearable devices? I mean, the other point that we're trying to now do is to change behavior, and it's very difficult to do. We know what to do, but we don't know how to do it. So I think the wearable devices are a wonderful tool. Using the real-time data from the devices, you can gamify behavior change, and you can make it much easier to actually adopt them. So here is a device that kind of started this whole thing. I don't know if you have ever seen this Manpometer. It was invented in 1965 in Japan for the Tokyo Olympics. It's a device you put on your belt clip, and then you walk, and it will count the steps up to 10,000. And the people who founded it, they created this concept of 10,000 steps, and it's just a fun idea that there was no study behind it, but it felt like a round number, and that if you walk 10,000 steps, you're definitely going to get healthier. Maybe the number is now 5,000 or 4,000 or whatnot, but this was the first thing that kind of started the whole quantify self, and to some extent this whole biohacking movement. Later in 2006, I was very fortunate to be working at Nokia, and this is the time when Nokia was building the first smartphones, or we call them mobile computers at the time. But it was really interesting that one of the devices was Nokia 5500, the first device that had a step counter inbuilt into it. And Nokia also, of course, built the step counter app that then was later rolled out in many tens of millions of phones. So this was the first time the idea of a step counter was actually embedded into a phone and given to millions of people. And it was really interesting at Nokia to see the evolution of this. Millions of people around the world started to use them. We had no idea how people would react, but it really made a difference. And this, of course, then later led into Fitbit and many other devices. And what I'm seeing is that in next few years, let's say in 2030, we're going to see these new devices are really merging together into these super devices. I think there will be likely a wrist device like an Apple Watch in the next few years that is tracking your sleep, your blood pressure, your blood glucose, and of course, activity and so forth. But it can likely also look at your blood biomarkers. And this device will be a transformational thing. This device will be able to do real-time tracking and give us guidance on what to do right after we have done it. And I think this will be the biggest change that, will actually make it possible for us to change behavior, adopt the healthier behaviors. So, what about the AI? AI is able to turn this real-time data from these various devices from our bodies into smart nutrition, smart behavior change that can optimize our health. I built an AI avatar some time ago, and I was asking it, what does this mean? And let's hear from him.
Each year, 50% of people go on a diet to lose weight, yet 95% of them fail to get permanent results. Wearable devices, glucose monitors, and personal coaches help some achieve better results, but they are not enough to reverse the weight gain graph. We need a personal health coach for everyone. We need real-time feedback loops to show people the negative and positive impacts of their actions. AI can do this. AI turns real-time data from our bodies into the right actions and supercharges food as medicine and behavior change.
Cool. I 100% agree on that. And for the last few years, I've been developing a company around this. And this is one of the first companies that is manifesting the idea of connecting nutrition, wearable devices, and AI together. So we are developing biomarker-based smart nutrition products that are taking data from your body in a form of health assessment. Think about the assessment you do when you go to the doctor's office. Wearable devices, the activity, sleep, steps, weight, even glucose in the future. And then we are also doing blood testing to understand what are the biomarkers that you are off, are you deficient of nutrients, and so forth. We pipe this information to AI models that are then personalizing your custom plan, what you need. Then we create the products for you, made to order. Yes, we do 3D print gummy vitamins, for example, that are custom made for you out of 1 billion combinations. And then we ship these products to your kitchen counter. It's pretty interesting. And what is smart nutrition? You may ask, like, what is this thing? I mean, never heard about it before. Smart nutrition is a concept that we invented at Elo. And the idea is that it is basically products that are personalized, smart, made for you. They are also precise, they are grounded in the latest science. They are backed by the scientific literature, and they are also proactive in a way that they get better over time. That's maybe the most unique thing about them that you might not have thought about before if you think about nutrition generally. Let me run a quick video to show you an example of a product we created about 2 years ago called Smart Protein. This gives a pretty good idea what does the Smart Nutrition do. I think you got the idea. So the combination of taking data from our bodies in real time with wearable devices, telling us what to do right after workout, for example, how much the product to consume and when to do it. That's been something pretty interesting that we created. Another example of a company who has done really interesting things lately is called Janary AI. What they do, they are predicting food glucose response based on images. So you take a photo of an image like a sushi roll here, it will detect what's in there, and then it will be predicting your glucose response to this specific food. And you can see here I'm pretty sensitive to rice, for example, white rice, so I spike highly on that. And this is, I think, really interesting, and it gives you an idea like what can you do. And I mean, just, I've been working with AI, computer vision for a long time, and this is really cool. I mean, we've been trying to do this for, 20 years as a science community, and now it's finally working. So that's pretty exciting. So what is the impact now if you take the nutrition, smart nutrition, you take the wearable devices and the AI? I'm predicting that these in combination will reverse the decline of life expectancy, and I think they will add 10 years to our life. If you think about the US numbers, for example, the US Census Bureau government is expecting that people are going to live average 89.1 years by end of the century. I mean, that's a very, very pessimistic scenario. I predict that we will definitely live up to 100 at the end of the century because of the AI and the smart nutrition improvements. And for the end, if you want to continue the discussion and the conversation, you can point your phone into the QR code here, and you can actually talk to my AI avatar you met earlier on a video. And if you send and add your email there, for example, phone number, I also get the notes. So happy to have a conversation with you. Thank you so much.